Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Lola Ajishafra. This is going to be our first live, and I'm really excited to be here. I do have a few special guests that'll be popping in just to kind of talk about what the topic is today. Now, just to kind of give you a refresher, my channel here really is about love, life, and relationships, and that seems kind of general. But the truth is, a lot of the time with life, the interactions we make, it all involves relationships. Two of the shows I've been reviewing, which was Ready to Love, as well as Love and Marriage Huntsville, talked about marriage or relationships. Either it was the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything all together. So today, just to kind of get a little starter into the live, programming, I decided we'll talk about marriage. Now, for me, the way I see it, marriage could be a few things. If we start talking about what the purpose of marriage is, like when it initially started back in the day. So we're talking about, before Christ, after death, and we're talking about the 50s. Like it really depends on who you're speaking to and what they believe. But, back in the day, marriage typically for a woman was, a source of stability, security, because then females weren't necessarily considered, full citizens. So they didn't have rights unless they were connected to a male. Nowadays, the landscape has really changed. So that's why I really wanted to kind of, touch on a couple things. I will have my guests and they'll kind of give us their opinions, what they think about marriage. I myself have dabbled into it. Haven't been successful, but hey, I think I still do believe in that concept. Now, the question right now, have a few questions we'll be going through that we'll be kind of talking and discussing as to what we think about marriage. Do we still think it's necessary? Is it something we should still continue? Is there a way to tweak it? Different things we were meant to be doing, okay? And so what I will do right now is I'm going to bring up my first guest. He's my brother. I should be calling him Dr. Ajisafra. He's got his PhD in, and master's in philosophy, I believe. But coming up to the stage right now, woo, 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 woo. Okay, Ajisafra, coming to you right now.
Hey,
OP,
Lola.
how's you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. In this time of
Likewise,
COVID, it's been a while.
Exactly. It really has. It really has. Yay for
So
technology.
welcome to the YouTube field. Welcome.
Thank you.
So before I even start talking about everything, I'm just gonna, so now that COVID's been around, how have you been dealing with, what would you say you've gotten from the time COVID started to now? Like, what have you gotten from it?
You know what? I don't know. Sometimes I feel I'm the worst person to ask that question. Because a lot of people have kind of they've had a lot taken away from them because they're probably really social and all of a sudden they haven't seen their friends. I mean, little secret, I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed not having to be places that I didn't want to be. I enjoyed working from home, I have my family here, so I guess it works. But yeah, I think a lesson I probably learned would be it's important, especially for those of us coming up in the world, to have more than maybe one source of income or to know how to navigate in this digital world, where, it doesn't necessarily have to be stuff online, but distant ways of making a living, distant ways of being an entrepreneur, just different things. I think that's the biggest topic, or that's the biggest thing I picked up from it, that sometimes you just have to know how to earn money in more ways than one. But yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty much
exactly. Yeah. Well, welcome, because it's going to be the new normal. Now I'm going to bring in our next guest before the conversation gets spicy. All right, coming up, drum roll. You know what? This lady really, I don't know how to introduce her. She's the media maestro, extraordinaire.
Talkiest person on earth.
Come on, give me
Islington's finest. North London, Hackney's finest. Hackney's adopted.
So to the lady with all the qualifications, all the juice, she's got the juice. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to warm welcome to my sister, Mercy Ajisafra.
Hey, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I was watching you guys and listening to you guys talking about marriage and stuff like that. Though the only thing is that I feel like, Christopher, your name should be Christopher Ajisafra, so we could have the uniformity, so they understand the collective power of Aji Dangerous. But it's okay.
I didn't see this, brother. Sorry.
But I really enjoyed what you were saying about marriage, man. I was listening to you guys and I thought it was quite important. But I'm the only one that isn't married, so I'm just going to listen to you guys talk about marriage for a bit.
That's okay. I've got one more person coming. He's not married too, but I'm sure he might be planning for it. He may not be. We don't know. So you know what? I'm going to bring him on so we can start the conversation. So siblings. So you can see we all have the same last name. If you didn't know, the dude in the middle is a brother as well. But guys, you haven't met the brother from another mother, Mr. DD. We met online and we've been tight as thieves, thick as thieves since then. We kind of beef over issues, but we're a real family. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring a warm welcome for DD. Hey, Didi, welcome.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you. So as you can see, your fellow panelists, these are your siblings that you haven't met yet. My brother up there, my sister down there. So Hi guys, welcome.
Hi. Yeah, it's all love. You'll actually have a distinct feature.
What's that?
The nose.
I was waiting for it. Everything that we all know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what I was going with.
Yeah, but you guys, it's nice meeting you guys. I met Lola on the Black Book 91, and then we've just been vibing from there. She's very, very intelligent, very insightful, and she's real. That's what I really love about her. She'll tell you what she got to say, what's on her mind. It's real. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you, DD. Appreciate it. All right, so let's jump in. So, because I can't do like the coding stuff. I can't sit online for 4 or 5 hours, so that's not gonna happen. But really, what I really wanted to do was, let's just talk about marriage. So, you know what, DD, how about I start with you? To you, in your opinion, what do you feel? What was marriage to you as a child? Let me put it like that. Let's start with that.
Well, for me, I didn't grow up in a household with parents that were married, but what I've seen through my cousins that have been married, basically, it's like it's like a contract, but it's a contract that both you guys have to agree on, because some people think marriage is 50-50, some people think it's 80-30. It all depends on what you agree on. So for me, afterwards, like the love, the affectionate, the time spending, all that comes in. But before we actually get to that point, I just feel like marriage should be something that should be discussed as to where do you all see your future going as a couple or as a married couple. Because some people they get married for all the wrong reasons. You understand? But I just feel that it's just a conversation you all should have. Like, some people don't want to have kids, some want to have kids. Then they get married, then someone cheats because they have an outside baby. So it's just something to me that I see as basically a contract between two adults that they should know, like whatever contract they come up with, it should be signed and they should just stick to the contract.
Contract.
Yeah, it's the contract.
Let me go to the rebel in the group. Mercy, how you feel? What did you think marriage was when you were a kid? Then we'll go to what you feel about it now.
That is actually a really good question. What did I think? So first of all, my first memory of marriage, I used to think that it was a law that your husband had to be older than you. First of all, that's what I thought. Because growing up in Nigeria, the husbands are always older. So I remember reading a newspaper article and the wife was older than the husband. I realized that, maybe my idea of marriage is not actually what marriage. That was the first time I remember thinking, okay, so there might be there's nuance to this thing that they call marriage, because there's the Nigerian marriage, then there's marriage. So when I was young, I thought marriage was, I guess, a community, a family. I didn't really understand. I knew that there was a man and a woman and they came together to kind of tell people what to do. You don't necessarily get the love part behind it. You're just like, okay, this is a company. I can run a company when I grow up. Okay, so I need a co-president. Fantastic. So the kids, the employees, I think I've got this. Fantastic. Oh, this is what we're going to do. Then I got older and I was like, man, marriage is a setup. Now I understand. No. When I say I got older, I think I hit about 16. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. There seemed to be this kind of glee that especially African men, not just African men, but black men, but African, they used to have this kind of enjoyment when they'll talk about, well, when you get married. Yeah. Like, wait. There's this kind of energy that what do they mean? So you guys, you're almost implying that things will change. What's going to change? So okay, so I'm too loud, I'm too tall, I'm too strong. Somehow these things will change once there was always this once you get married kind of thing. And I was just, okay, so what does this mean? So then I explored it a bit further and I was like, well, marriage seemed to be an element of control. You know, I understand, I did some research and I was like, okay, so when we started it, as women, we got married for economic purposes. You know, we left our father's house to go to our husband. So I was like, okay, starting to understand it a bit more. So then we take the last name, because essentially I was kind of right. It's like a company, you become their property. Okay, so traditionally, this is what happened. Okay, but then what happens, because we're in a different world, because I've left my father's house. There's an interim, there's no husband's house. So what happens to the modern day couple? What does the modern day marriage look like? Mm-hmm. So I just realized, you know, marriage essentially is what we make it. I've now understood that traditionally what we called a marriage, I don't know if it can really work, because I mean, there's too much nuance to this, because you also have what we call a marriage is in reality and society, and what the media calls a marriage or relationships. Because I feel like we've been lied to. There's like this collective idea, especially when it comes to women. We collectively have this idea of what marriage is.
Okay, as women, don't freeze. So we can all be in unison. Yes, I see you warming up to where we're going.
Well, that's it. That's what I think about marriage. I think it's what you make it. Definitely.
Boom, boom. All right, so Christopher, you're next. Now, so you're still a newlywed, you know. So ladies, he's taken. I'm sorry, you know, he's a part of the beard gang, but he's gone. So tell me, what was your idea of marriage when you were a kid, and now being in it, still a newlywed? What is it for you now? You don't have to spill those beans. I'm not trying to explain to Nick or nothing. I'm not trying to beg for you. So you know,
I was not there. I was
not some crumbs. I won't beg for you.
My mic is on mute.
My man's homeless. If I'm homeless, I'm coming to live with you. You know, it's simple. So. But when I was growing up, I think it was really simple. I just thought you kind of marry your best friend. You know, I think that's really what it is. You know, I think looking back, as Mercy was speaking, I was thinking, I did think a lot about love. But I don't think I thought a lot about marriage per se, but I didn't think there had to be such a wide line between being with somebody that you really like and being married to that person. So I think that was pretty me growing up. Now I'm with Didi. I'm in agreement with everything Didi said, basically. I think contract is an ugly word, but it's a necessary word. It's the idea that you can make it, I don't know, any more innocent or airy-fairy than that. I think you're looking for trouble. You kind of have to know what you're looking for and what your partner is looking for and how it can work. And I think that's pretty much it. I also agree with Mercy, though. It is what you make it. But when you say it is what you make it, as long as the other person knows what you're trying to make and they also are happy with that, then you're good to go. But definitely is some form of a contract. Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm going to be slightly rebellious, Lola. I'm sorry.
Let's hear.
Because I do agree that, you know, there's a contract and everything, but terms change. And what happens when the terms change? Because I noticed that both of the men are like, yeah, there's a contract. We agree to it. You stick to it by blood contract. But, you know, human beings are fluid. And, you know, terms, they're not, you know, terms within a contract. It's not clause 1, clause 2. As human beings, you grow and you change. So I just feel, so when I say marriage is what we make it, I just feel like, yes, definitely the other person needs to be on the same page as you, but you kind of have to, you have to understand yourself first and create what you consider to be a strong marriage. And I don't know, maybe find someone whose vision is in alignment with you. So yeah, Didi, that's what I'll say. Terms change, man. Terms change.
No, but if the reason why I say it's a contract, because if the contract is void, what happens? They get a divorce.
That
clauses. Can't we have like sub clauses, like clause 321? In the event that this may happen, we'll sit down and renegotiate these terms. There's got to be flexibility, and I think that's one of the problems, because
okay, go ahead. No, I say that's where prenuptial. That's where a prenuptial agreement comes in.
I thought prenup was for money there. Like it's just that's how you handle
it. Yeah, but that's the whole point. So then the person gets paid because they broke the contract. So if the wife chooses to take everything you have, she takes everything. If you decide to give him something, you give him something. So in my head, I'm just saying it's like a contract to me. I would just say.
Yeah, I mean, I
No,
see.
I
So
agree with you. I agree with you. But Lola, do you know what? I would actually like to hear, because this is your show. So I want to know what you think about marriage, because you're
thank
also married.
you.
Come and tell us, please.
So okay, so this is how it was. So as a kid, did I think much of it? I didn't think much of it. I think I was clear that the thing I definitely was sure about was the crumb snatchers I have that live with me. I definitely wanted crumb snatchers. I was going to do the
Why are
crumb
you lying?
snatcher.
Don't let me like keep my she never wanted kids. She hates them little shits.
No,
No, I'm joking.
no. So no, no. I think I was clear that I wanted the crumb snatchers. Now the image, I was never one who dreamt of walking down the aisle, the gown, da, 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 da. Nah, I wasn't. I won't say I was against it, but it wasn't something that made me help me to sleep at night. So I wasn't against it, but I wasn't excited by the thought of it. So I did kind of go into it, but what do I think about it? I think it really depends on the parties involved. It definitely can be what you make it. But I think the biggest thing coming out of it, so what I think of it now, it's definitely a relationship that has different tiers, because different types of marriages work for different people. Some people are they love the idea of a contract. It's not really about relationship or my best friend. It's about, look, this is a deal. Because back in the day, they used to get married for, joining families, to keep the wealth in the family, to get wealth in a family, those kind of things. And so, yeah, it wasn't really about romance or whether you like the person. It was like, okay, does that family have money? Are they a good family? Okay, so the poor family, do they have any kind of, bad luck on them? Otherwise, it was it was a marriage made in heaven. So for me, that doesn't really work. So it's less, logical, but still with marriage, you know what? It's hard to say because times have really changed. But for me right now, I would say it's really relationship and companionship. Can we agree? And I think there are a lot of things that people don't talk about when they first get married. And so this is kind of leading into my next point, which is going to be, what do we really think is the purpose of marriage? It's like, why do people get married? Why do people bother to go get a certificate? Should they bother to get a certificate? Why do people stay as one? Because there's even a scripture I wanted to throw out. Now, this is not church or anything, but the scripture was like Matthew 19:6, where it says, when two become one, that, if two people who were raised a completely different way suddenly become one, how do they become one? So what is the real purpose? Does marriage work if we're not, using it in that regard? Because marriage was started way back then, was it started before Christ? And when they did do that, how did it work? So I will start with OPE, the resident, pastor. What's up, pastor? What's up, Okra?
Who's that? Oh, me. Okay. So yeah, sorry.
Really?
So the question
I'm
is,
sorry, Christopher.
what
Yeah,
is the
you.
purpose? What is the purpose of marriage?
Yeah, what do you think the purpose
That's
is?
such a lot. Such a loaded question, because to give an answer to that is to actually say this is the right answer. I think people get married for different reasons, and you went into them. People get married to strengthen their financial situation. Some people get married because obviously it's a probably better environment for the children. Some people get married for the security. So the purpose of marriage, am I answering as a Christian? Am I answering as some?
No, answer as a
I think
human being.
I think it's supposed to show an official sign of commitment to the person that you've chosen to spend your life with. I think I can't get any more specific than that. I think anything past that, and it's what you want it to be. I think it's a way to show a commitment to somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with. Yeah.
All right. So what do you think, Mercy? What do you think is the purpose of marriage? You're looking at it today.
I'm sure, like they know my name is Dukwe. My is on my Instagram. It says Mercy Mo Dukwe Ajishafe. So feel free to.
All right, let's throw you the one. All right, Dukwe, what's up? What do you think the purpose is?
What is the purpose of marriage? Well, we've already ascertained that the purpose of marriage originally has kind of shifted to what it is now. So what
exactly
is the purpose of marriage for me personally in my life? First of all, I guess I'd have to quantify whether I want to get married. Do I want to get married?
Ooh,
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Why do I want to get married? What do I consider it to be? What value do I think it will add to my life? Companionship, relationship, the foundation to build and create my own family, because I believe that human beings were created to create things and fill them with delight. And then I see that as our children, our family. We're designed to create these beautiful humans and protect them and take care of them and make sure that they have everything they need in order to grow into well-meaning, valuable members of society. So in many ways, marriage for me is the foundation that you lay to create this family. So it's so important that you find someone that you're aligned with and evenly yoked with, so you understand what you're doing. So the purpose of marriage is to grow, to procreate, to have companionship. Not everybody wants to have a family, so you've got to decide what your purpose is. If I didn't want a family, would I necessarily want a husband? I don't, I want a companion.
Would you need to be...
No, go on. No, go on. Would I need...
Yeah, would you need to be married to have the companion and to have kids? I mean, marriage is a distinct step from companionship.
For me, because of our culture, I definitely would prefer to be married. In fact, forget culture, screw that. And to be fair, I'm just keeping it PG-13 because technically you guys are my older siblings. But no, honestly, forget culture, just legally, man. There's no way that I want to have children with someone that I'm not legally attached to. We also have to be pragmatic. So because I want a family, and because I already said that in some senses, I saw a marriage as, corporation, you've got the 2 co-presidents, and, you've got the employee. Yeah. We've got to get this down on paper. So yes, I would, for me,
so a commitment, really an official commitment.
An official commitment is so important. But if I didn't want a family, I may not necessarily require marriage, because companionship is the cocoa, and you don't need marriage to have companionship. The reason that I know, that's why I said for me, marriage is the foundation of creating the family that you desire for yourself. Finding that, because when you say you want children, essentially our children are kind of half of us and half of someone else. Yeah. So it's finding that person that you're like, I would quite like my children to be half of you. So it's creating the foundation of the family that you wish to create for yourself, and also companionship, friendship, just someone to do life with. That's what marriage is.
Yeah. Didi, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But for me, basically it's the same thing you said, but also just remember in the Bible, God said, be fruitful and multiply. Understand? That's why a man and a man cannot make a child, or a woman and a woman cannot make a child. It's a man and a woman that can make a child.
Let's come for some necks.
Basically, that you, as the individual, you find somebody that's suitable for you, and it has to be an opposite sex. So when you find the opposite sex that is suitable to you, no relationship is perfect. You'll have ups and downs. You might have arguments, but never let it be something that you guys cannot fix. So basically, you just look for a companion that suits you, and you all work together, you all deal together, you all have kids together. So then you create your family genes to live on and on. You understand? So when your family genes you live on and on, like it just comes as a whole family, a whole community. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that you meet someone that's suitable to you, and you also pass on your family genes. But marriage, we all get married. When you get married, that means you're going to spend the rest of your life together, unless in the eyes of God, a divorce is not valid. But you look for that person, because that's why I don't have any kids. I'm not married. Now,
not yet. Not yet, Didi.
Unless I don't get
the
married.
Ladies, let there be these DMs. But let me continue. Continue, sir.
But I honestly believe that for me, it's like you meeting someone that's suitable for you and just passing on your family generation.
So I've got to jump in there and be rebellious. I was just being polite because I didn't want to cut you, because I agree with you, but I just have to, I think it's so important that when we're speaking, especially when it comes to religion, that we have to remember that our religious programming cannot necessarily dictate how we see the world for everyone, because not everyone is a Christian, not everyone abides. So marriage, a lot of people, the whole concept of marriage isn't just a Christian thing. It's not just a Christian covenant. So that's what I want to say, that while I am definitely a heterosexual woman, I can't categorically say that I think marriage is just for, I guess, people of opposite genders, because when it comes, we're evolving so much as spirits and human beings. And I think the most important thing to remember is that the basis of every religion is meant to be love. So I think that's kind of come out of it. But I see that you've got some questions, Lola, and I mean, Layla says that. Why do we think that most people view marriage the same way? Lola, why do you think that people view marriage the same way? I mean, if
I don't even, you know what? I don't even think people view marriage the same way. That's the problem. That's why we have the problem today. Now, people will say that, back in the day, marriages lasted longer. Why? We'll discuss that later. But the thing is, I think they probably just endured it then. The issue with a lot of the marriages breaking up right now is that marriages are not seen the same way. People want different things. And I think at this point, that's when people have to decide before they get together. There's certain discussions they have to have. It's like, I don't think I even had those discussions. Honestly speaking, biggest discussions, money. How are we going to spend the money? How are we going to make the money? Who's going to make the money? If this happens, what are we going to do next? Even with kid rearing, like some people don't believe in spanking, others do. They seem simple, but they honestly, I want to be honest with you, these were not conversations I had in the beginning. I didn't sit down and, oh no, because all we did was we were going to the same church. Oh, hey, you, hey, oh, okay, yeah, we're together now, hey. But I think the big thing right now is because females don't have to be married anymore. Males don't even have to be married. They can both kind of live separately. We have to be clear why we're together. Because if we don't know the why, it's not going to work, or you're going to endure the marriage. And a marriage shouldn't be endured. So for me, to come back to the circle, in terms of purpose, honestly, looking at today, I do believe that marriage, it can be fruitful. You can be fruitful and multiply, which to me is like, if you want to have children, I believe. So Lola believes if you want to have children, you should get married. Now, if you don't, then you can start playing with the nuances of what the benefits are. Because can you have a companion and not have children and still not have to be married? Yes, you could. But I believe that if you want to have children and build a family unit and have somebody, you should get married. I think another purpose of getting married is that if you're married, there are boundaries. So it's like if we have an argument or something goes wrong, you're now committed. Well, you are. I mean, some people don't follow that commitment. You're committed to make it work, at least for a certain time. Now, if they come in swinging, punching, guns, whatever happens, of course, no one's telling you to be committed. But if there's something wrong, if there's some kind of trigger your partner has, you're committed to trying to work it out with them before you throw up your hands in the air and say, I'm done. Because I know I don't have patience. I'll be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm not hungry. I see you stage left. But with marriage, you now almost have to sit down and pause, because it's easy to get married, but even legally, it's hard to unravel the whole thing. It takes a long time. And so these are the things you have to think about before you get married and be clear. Because you have some people say, till death do us part, and they take it seriously. But there are reasons other than ones listed in the Bible, I think, that one should consider to get a divorce. But at least you now have that comfort level that, you know what, we're going to be together through thick and thin, at least technically. That should be. So to me, that's the purpose of marriage, that commitment, and then raising a family. So we're going to kind of leading into my next question, really, is like, so we've been talking about marriage. We say there are things we should do, but before you get to that stage, what should we be doing? So it's like the question now is in terms of dating. So two of us on the panel have experienced it or in it right now, but the other two, not quite. It's like, so we're talking about dating. How do you date with intention? What do you need to do? What are you thinking? How are you going to approach? Now, Dupe, I'm going to come to you because you're a woman, because females get the brunt of it. We're the ones who have to do the heavy lifting. We have to be careful. We have to know who we have to pick, like how we have to pick them, what they look like. Because there's something Nigerian says, like, shine your eyes before you enter the marriage. That means open your eyes wide before you enter the marriage. And then when you enter the marriage, it says shut your eyes. That means stop closing things that piss you off, technically. So it almost feels like the brunt of the success of the marriage falls on the woman, at least culturally from where we're from. Dupe, what do you think? How should you date with intention?
How should you date with intention? I think the key to doing anything with intention is really knowing your intent. What is your intention? What do you require? What do you want? So you've ascertained that you definitely want to get married. Who are you? Well, what are you looking for from a marriage? Because you've got to define quite clearly what it is you want in this relationship that's going to come. Because once you've identified what you want, once you've identified who you are and you know yourself, then you have a really clear idea of what you're looking for. So if people don't meet myself, I take a lot of shit, man, because I get told that I'm really difficult and really fussy. But that's because I've got a really clear idea of who I'm looking for. I know that Paul might be really small, but in some ways I know exactly what he looks like spiritually anyway. Meaning if you do not resemble him, I won't even see you at all, because anything that isn't that is deviating from my course. So it can be lonely, because especially as a woman, especially if you're a quote unquote strong woman, people can assume that, I don't know, you have no emotions or you enjoy being alone or not necessarily dating loads of different people. And it isn't that. It's the sacrifice that you choose to make because you're being intentional with your choice. So first of all, it's understanding what you're looking for, what you want, and going for that, and not deviating, because a lot of times, especially as women, while a lot of the responsibility falls on women, I feel like sometimes because we really want marriages and relationships, because I feel like men and women look at relationships, marriages differently. Women have kind of been taught, especially from a cultural point of view, we've been taught to feel that we are not complete as a being until we've attained this husband. So there's that sense of no matter what you achieve in this life, you are never truly complete until you attain your MRS. In fact, as a Nigerian woman, that's how you're read. It affects your relationship with other women because from the moment you're born, you're in competition for this elusive husband that you're meant to get.
Thank you.
So because you're so fixated on this idea of marriage, it's like you're obsessed. And in some ways, if you look at the law of attraction, you're kind of repelling that thing that you claim you want because you're so obsessed with it. Where men, on the other hand, they just assume when they're ready to get married, they're going to meet someone and it will fall into place. So they don't have this anxiety around it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can blame women for that. It's a lot of societal pressure. But I think once you're able to kind of sidestep that pressure and think clearly, that's one of the ways to date with intention. Knowing exactly what your intention is, what you're looking for, what you want, and going for that, and not deviating. We can all relapse, but it's really important not to make decisions out of fear or loneliness. And for me,
boom. Let me stop you for a second, please. If anyone's listening, please do repeat that statement because that's key.
I don't even remember what I said, girl. You're gonna have to.
You said you should not date out of loneliness. Don't settle because you're feeling lonely or you're feeling, and I don't want to use the word desperate, but you feel like you don't have any other options. Never feel like, that's it for you. It's a lie. It's a lie of the devil. The devil's just whispering.
I'm not judging anyone. We all want love. Sorry, I just want to clarify that because people might say, oh, Yongo, my idea. You're saying, oh, no, everybody. No. Every single one, even the baddest guy in the world, everybody wants love. Everyone to a certain extent is desperate for love. That's how you end up in these disgusting relationships or people have these addictions because they're looking to fill a void. So no insults to anyone. We're all trying to live, man.
Thanks for clarifying. Didi, you want to jump in here? How do you think you should, particularly you got your DMs full, the chicks are shouting at you every time we have it live, they're like,
Lola,
Didi.
stop spreading rumors, Lola.
Right. So how is Didi dating with intention, sir?
First, I think at some point in time in your life, you need to do some self-reflection. Because self-reflection will make you know exactly what you want. Because dating and relationships also tells you a lot about what you've been through, what you have had, and what you're looking for. So for me, I think self-reflection is one of the key things that you need to do. Because some men, they want to be married and they don't want to be married, meaning that they want this woman, but they still want to live the life they will live in, having multiple women and playing the field, basically. But if they did some self-reflection and realize, okay, well, I think I need to stop. I think I need to actually, date this woman. She's a good woman. She's good to me. And I should just, probably take the next step with her. But then some men don't do that. But for me, it's just like you just need to know what you want. Literally know what you want, what you're looking for, who you want to be with, and also just do some self-reflection before you actually take that step. It'll help you be prepared and ready for you to actually be married.
Boom. So OP, what's up? What do you think? How should one date with intention?
I'm going to do this partly for my men out there because the gender divide is starting right now, and I need to make sure I'm representing my men out there. First things first, marriage may be easier for us men in terms of the lack of responsibility and risk we have to carry, but a bad marriage can ruin anybody. A bad marriage is bad for anybody, and I think it's incumbent for anybody to be very careful before they get married. There are losers everywhere. Now, having said that, how do you date with intention? In life, we say things, we think things, and then we do other things. You know, we think one thing, we do another thing. And I don't think it's encouraged, but we can get away with it a lot. You know, you go to work, you do your 9 to 5, but is that 9 to 5 even representative of your dreams, who you are, what you want to achieve? As long as we're doing the things that in society's eyes were working, you can get away with not being real with yourself. But marriage will be that leveler that will deal with anybody who says one thing and does another thing. How you date with intention, you have to just be yourself all the time. You need to know yourself all the time. If you don't, then you're going to meet somebody whose values don't align with yours. And if you do, you repel a lot of people at the gate. You know, I remember ages ago on Valentine's Day, going to the florist and picking up some flowers. And the guy who was selling the flowers, he was talking to me, and he was really like, you know, I want to be like you. You know, you seem so happy. I'm happy you're here buying these flowers. And I was like, I'm just buying the flowers, but yeah, I am happy. But I think he wanted to know what could he do to find love. And when we got to talking, he was like, you know what? One thing I will agree with is there's a lot of stuff that I accept that I don't really want, but I feel like I need to accept it because you can't always say no. You know, you can't set your threshold so high. And, you know, this idea of the deal breakers, everybody has to kind of bounce that line. What am I going to say I can't deal with? What can I kind of accept? But, you know, maybe we can work on it down the road. And I think the most important thing is when you are authentic yourself, it can't go wrong. It cannot go wrong. So I think whether you're working on marriage from birth or you're working on marriage when you have a good job and you feel like, you know, now it's time to get married, you just need to know who you are and walk in that self every single day. And I think Dr. Mercy was talking about law of attraction. I think you attract who you are. You attract the people who are on your level. You attract the people who have your fears. You attract the people who have, you know, the same value. Yeah, I think I'm going round and round, but I think that's pretty much it. You just have to be authentic and know exactly what it is that you,
yeah, we hear you. We hear you definitely. There's a question I want to answer.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Shanae asked,
yeah. So she's like, how early in the dating process should we share our intentions with the parties we're dating? First or second date? Now, guys, because we always get attacked and judged. Yo, dudes, tell me, like, you dating? What you okay with the first date, or you have to wait till the second date before she says something?
For me, I would actually wait for at least a month. The first or second date is not enough time to start speaking about your intentions, because you need to see what the person is about. For me, that's just for me. I'm from a different culture. So I'm just saying, a first or second date, no. Because you're not, unless you knew the person before, but you just met the person on a first and a second date, I would not discuss that as yet, because I need to see what really you are about first.
But think about intentions, though. If you're thinking about the intention, you're not saying I want to marry you, but maybe you're saying I'm not about that, you know, that outside. I'm not for the streets. You know how the kids say, I'm not for the streets.
If I had to pick, I would pick on a second date, not a first date. Because the first date is you're just testing the waters for me. And the second date, the first date would be testing the waters. I see what direction, maybe where I can take it or not. It will make me make up my mind as to where I want to take it. If I want to take it further or not. The second date, we can talk about our intentions.
Okay. All right. Opie, what do you think?
I think that word intentions is really interesting, because when I'm talking about intentions, I was also really talking about the kind of things you want in the partner. You know, I do agree with Didi. If you come forward, let's say you're a serious person, you feel like, you know, your courtship should be a certain way, you know, there are a couple of things you're not ready to do. Yeah, that's one way of looking at intention. But then the other way, which is what I'm referring to, you open your eyes and you see the kind of person that's in front of you. And then from there you can make those kind of decisions as to whether you want to go further. Why would you want to talk about your intentions on the first or second date when you don't even really know who the person is? You know,
exactly.
I imagine trying to meet up with someone is to find out who they are, what they're like, and then you will know based on who you authentically are if you want to go further with that person or not. That's how I feel, basically.
So you're saying after the second date, then once you kind of felt them out and you're able to decide. It's not their representative.
Yeah, but I think
because you meet the representative.
Yes, but even trying to anchor it in by the second date, I think dating, it's an art. It's an art because there's no manual. There's no dating manual. No, second day, put my Steve Harvey hat on. Oh, by the second day, I don't know how those things work. If you're spiritual, if you're Christian, be the best you can be. Believe that God will guide you, and open your eyes and make sure you do those things. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I'm
all
with
I
you.
can say
I
regarding
hear
that.
what you're
I
saying.
think it's definitely too early by the second day. Yeah.
Yeah, because one more thing, Lila, Lola, one more thing. What if you tell the person your intentions, or you speak about your intentions on the second date, and the person is like, they never want to see you again?
Ooh.
You understand?
Yeah, there's that.
So what I'm trying to say is, for me as a guy, I prefer, I'll give it at least a month, because then we can spend time together, do stuff together. I can see what she like, what she don't like, or what maybe her hobbies might be, what my hobbies might be, if we can probably actually be together. But within a first or second date, I can't, like, to me, it's not a conversation I would have. Because sometimes you tell the person your intentions and you never see the person again.
Well,
Sometimes
that
you tell
too.
them your intentions,
that's true.
they stay. But I
But
think it's just
some of those guys are
too early to
trifling.
ask a question like that.
That could be a blessing in disguise. That could be a blessing in disguise, actually, because then it saves
Can
you
I
from
jump in? Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Well, you see, that's what I want to say. If I can just quickly jump in, Mercy. If you have intentions that have to do with how much you're willing to give of yourself to someone, some people don't mind. Some people want to wait till the first month, a couple of days before they give themselves. And you know what I mean when I say give yourself. And if those things are important to you and a particular date is moving in a certain direction, definitely you stand up and you're like, no, based on what I believe in, based on what I want to do, I need to get to know you better. I need to know where we're going. And if after that date you don't see that person, you should really be rejoicing, because you know immediately that person's not who you're looking for. So if we're talking intentions in that sense, yeah, definitely. You may have a date that's like from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then you go home and you were just there to eat and see one another. But if it kind of leads to somebody's house and then you're like, yeah, I'm comfortable here, this is not how I envisioned it, then of course, definitely have a talk and watch carefully how they react. I would agree. I would think that.
I think that question is different for the genders, because I don't know, for me personally, I think
definitely
I wouldn't. First of all, I don't know. It's just, it's not. I don't talking about. So first of all, I think that you have to ascertain what kind of person are you dealing with. Is this the kind of person? Do you have a decent idea of their character? Are they a time waster? I mean, you're not always right. There's no, you don't always get it correctly. At the same time, I'm hoping that you've chosen to go on a date with someone who at least matches up to a certain level, a certain standard. You know that they're a certain kind of being. They're not a time waster. They're not a womanizer. They're not trying to, sleep with loads of women every day. So you have a certain idea that, okay, this person has a modicum of seriousness. For me, as a woman, I won't state my intention. I may never state my intention, but we may never go anywhere, because I feel like men have a really good idea of what they want the minute they meet me. Not all the time, but most men, we will always, because I fancy myself as a, non-professional anthropologist. So I, did a little survey and I've spoken to loads of men. Majority of men always say, well, you know what, I had a pretty good idea. When I met her, I knew, there was something about her. So men, they tailor their approach to what they want from you, because men know that, okay, I want to pursue this woman for something casual, or she could potentially be serious. I mean, the beginning, I'm sure they're all trying to sleep with you anyway, but they do have an idea of, okay, well, she has something nice. I see that this is I could pursue this long term. There's a way I'm act. So he will let you know his intentions. If he's a serious kind of man, he will let you know his intention. And then you can kind of tailor your approach from there and be like, okay, this gentleman is serious. This is what he wants from me. Because as a woman, my intention is to have a great time until someone serious actually gets my attention, So I just the way I operate, I'm not about to sit here and tell you that yet, because another thing you have to remember is that they're con artists. People are going to listen to it. He's writing, so
that's what she wants.
Pretend and become that. And be like, okay, that's it. This is what she wants. And that's so dangerous, So
can I ask a quick quick question? What okay. Let's say on the second date, he told you his intentions, right? Or she told you her intentions. What if the person's intentions is like bringing you the world, but the personality is not what you want?
Their personality, I mean, then that's really, once again, it goes back to what your desires are. So as a woman, what is more important? There's some women who they value security in a relationship more than anything else. So if that's the world, then they can take that. Who cares about the personality? The personality is going to feed her, you know. But there's some women who are like, no, I love. Love is what I'm looking for. I want companionship. I want my best friend. So if I don't like his personality, that's not going to go anywhere. For me, personality is so important because I'm looking for a homie, my ride or die, my co-D. We've got, in order for us to be able to build a family and build a home, we kind of have to be able to understand each other. And if I don't like your personality, essentially, I don't like you. So what world are you going to give me that I can't give myself? Well, I may give him a chance to really. I think it's also important to be patient. Don't make don't make decisions really quickly, but also don't be scared to say this isn't for me because you feel like something else won't come along. If that's a sign, if you don't like someone's personality, it's actually you don't like them. So why are you with someone you don't like?
Yeah, in a nutshell. I mean, for me, looking at the term intentions is particularly if you're living in a city such as New York and in London too, where you are, where, you know, if it's normal, this is pre-COVID and you're in the dating scheme, I'm going to call it a scheme because that's what it is. You want to kind of decipher, almost like speed dating. You want to get like the rubbish out of the way, like move to the left, to the right. So I get the questions like, you know, what are you about? Are you just trying to have a couple drinks for the next 5 dates, or are you actually dating with intention yourself? Because you want to be of like mind. Is this person just dating to have fun, or is this person dating to actually meet someone potentially that's important to them? Now, will you guys always meet in the middle? No. Will you guys always be attracted to each other? No. But there'll be an understanding that, okay, this is what I want from this. If it doesn't work, that's fine. You both kind of salute and keep it moving, as opposed to me, like going on a couple of dates, having some drinks and doing all, like wasting the outfit, having to put on makeup and doing all of that. And then you find out he's, I'm not going to use the term, but like the F boys that are out there. So I get that question. But at the same time, you also don't want to feed the enemy. You don't want to feed the enemy with what your formula is, because then they start trying to mold into what they think you might want. So it's almost like, you know, straddling a fine line. So it depends on where you meet this person, how you meet this person, and almost what that person is. And going to Duper's point, you really have to be clear on what's important to you, because then you can immediately decide, okay, yes, no, like almost like swiping left or swiping right, because there's so much out there with, I don't want to say so little time, but you don't want to be distracted by someone else. And you also don't want to feel pressured by a certain age or a certain timeline. And so that's where you kind of find things. What do you want to say, OP?
Yeah, but because what I find really interesting is there are reasons, motivations for having this mindset when you're dating. But it's like I said, there's no dating manual. But I think very subtly, people have these ideas, you know, I don't want to waste my time. I need to know. And of course, you can feel sympathy for somebody with that mindset, but you're carrying one mentality into the world with 7 billion people. And you don't realize that you are using one strategy. It may be 2, it may be 3, but there's always something in mind. It might be naive, but what's wrong with trying to kick it with somebody until you actually find out, do you align with them? You know, when you go places, how do you feel? It's like somebody comes to you on the first date, like, I'm a serious person, I don't want you to waste my time. It's like, chill. Like, I don't know
exactly.
you.
You see, your brother and I think alike.
To me, who feels that way about you? Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, I have sympathy for everybody, but I'm not going to let your desires and your worries and your fears override what I'm doing on this earth. You know, we didn't come to this earth at the same time. You know, so I think the bigger thing is we still need to start opening our eyes to look at the fact that people are looking for different things in different ways. Yeah. And the moment you get dogmatic about how to date, it's kind of dangerous. It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, because that's why I don't on a second date or first date, I'll not ask your intentions. I just want to just kick it with you, see, you know, see where we can go, see if we have chemistry, see if we have flow, see if we can spend time together, and then eventually, maybe I can say after a month, I'll ask you then, what's your intentions? Because now we have been kicking it, we have been spending time together, we've seen what direction we might want to go with this. So then now you can tell me, what's your intentions? So then we can know, okay, if we want to get married, if we want to have kids, if we want to build a future. But if you come the first date or the second date, you're asking me what's my intention, I'll be like, whoa, like, okay, well, you're too serious. Like, let's just kick it first and get to know each other a little better. That's just how I feel about it.
No, I agree with you. It's a flow. But I think for females, because there's so many out there, you want to be clear what you're looking at that's sitting in front of you. For a guy, it's easy. I think, because I agree with what you're saying, but it's also easier coming from your perspective. For the females, we almost have to be on guard. That's the only way I can put it. Because you and I don't want to say you're not going to sit down and say, yo, bro, you're not going to waste my time. No, you're going to flow, but you're watching him. Because you're clear that you're meeting the person's representative. And you don't want to, because there are lots of guys out there just looking to play, but they're not going to come out and say, I'm looking to play. They're just going to be out there doing what they do. But for males, yes, there are chicks out there looking to play, but it's less. And the game comes from the others. It comes from both sides, but more so from the other side, because it seems almost like women definitely want to date, but they want to get to a point where they want companionship. Whereas it appears, I'm putting it like this, it appears that maybe boys want to play a little longer or play more. That's why it seems that the females almost have to be clear and be intentful with what they're doing. That's the way I see it for that. So so we've kind of
we're all on the same page then, because we're basically saying that you can't start throwing intentions in people's faces before you even know whether you want them, to be fair. But I understand the challenge because so Rich is like, well, I appreciate knowing the intentions early on as a woman. And I get that. And I think that also has a little to do with our sense of discernment and emotional intelligence and lack to understand. Because the truth is that you do kind of have to get to know someone. But if we all make mistakes, but if we are dating the right kind of people, they will have enough emotional intelligence to know there's a way that you can conduct a relationship when you're getting to know each other that, you know what, if you both decide this isn't going anywhere, you don't lose anything. You have to be wary of love bombing as well. Men and women do it.
Yes.
So if you're going on a date with a man that's love bombing you and he's not really like his intentions, that's already a sign. If you just meet someone and they're throwing so much emotion your way and all this like attention and everything, that's already a massive sign. So I feel like we should I think we need to get more comfortable with being still and actually looking at the people in front of us.
I don't preach, sister.
Yep. Amen.
Go ahead, preach.
Amen.
She's preaching. As she's preaching, I'm gonna, as we're getting towards the close of the hour, I'm gonna go to another section. So, what does a successful marriage look like to everyone? Everyone has the idea, but if you were to articulate it, what does it look like to you? What do you see? If you're meant to tell me about a picture, what do you see? Who wants to go first? Really? No one in a hurry. Okay, what do you think? Okay, what do you think? What does a marriage look like to you? And it's
Lola, you go first.
All right. Okay,
Lola, it's your
all right,
show. Tell us, let us know.
Let us know. Okay, I'll tell you. This is what I see. I see two people gelling. There's a flow. When you see them, you can see that this chemistry. It's perfect communication. It's a balance. Be careful. It's a balance between being best friends and also being lovers. Because if it's one or the other, it doesn't work. If this person's just a lover, but you can't stand each other, the relationship's not going to work. And if you're best friends and just best friends, it's not going to work. So you almost have to kind of straddle the line in between. But definitely you enjoy being in that person's company. And you really have to like the person. You see them together, they're cracking jokes, they're playing. You might see them, for example, at a party in the mall. And it sounds crazy, but you guys are like, oh, that chick, she looks nice. And she's like, yeah, that kind of playful banter going on. But you also have things in common. You have common goals, because if he's about one thing and you're about another, it's not going to work. So that's important too. So I want to see two people, they don't have to have the same goal, but they want to be going in the same direction, similar goals. So it's like almost someone supporting you. So for example, maybe this year you're trying to build your business and he's maybe doing something else, but he's putting in the support, putting in extra work to make sure that you have the time to focus on that. But when it's his turn, you're also able to do the same thing. And so that kind of going back and forth like a partnership, that's what I see. Now, when you throw in kids, for me in 2021, I don't want us to think that child rearing is the responsibility of the female, because that's what it seemed or looked like in the past. Like, okay, you're a perfect example. Like, you don't play with your daughter. She's on, like, you see my brother, you see his daughter. That's just how it is, period. And I like that. It's just like, it's because the role a man plays in the life of his child is fundamentally important. And I don't think people take it as serious as it should be. So really, two parties need to be involved. So just in a nutshell, so my people can talk, that's how I see, a successful marriage. What's up?
Okay. Yeah, I can jump in.
Right, go ahead.
Or Steve, you want to go before me? Like,
so for me, it's just.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, a successful marriage, I would say, basically put God first, because that's one of the key things. Like you cannot be, because some people act like they're godly or they're into the Bible and they're not. You understand? So I think it has to do with trust. God has to come first. Trust and communication. That, for me, that's a successful marriage. because with Christ anything is possible. We can with God in our lives, like love your neighbor. Like there are so many things. Say love your neighbor as your love your neighbor
As you love
as
yourself.
yourself, as you love yourself. Sorry. Do not, like the Ten Commandments. Like in a nutshell, I don't want to go too much into religion, but then I just feel like God has to play a big part in your marriage. For me, God has to play a big part in your marriage, because without God, nothing works. It will not work as it should, but it will work with God. Then from with after God, then you go with your trust and your communication, because you need to trust. I cannot be married to someone I cannot trust. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they go out without me, I trust that they would not speak to guys or entertain other people, and that kind of vibes. When it comes to communication, like we have to communicate, because if we do not communicate, there are so many things that will go wrong. I am not a psychic. I don't know what you're thinking, you don't know what I'm thinking. So we need to communicate, and then you know I think it will make it successful. That's just how I think about it. It should make it successful to me. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, you ready now? You ready?
Yeah.
All
So
right. Hit me.
piggybacking off what Dee just said,
Yeah.
I want to give a two-part answer. I think the
Okay.
first answer, definitely, as a Christian, I can't overstate the importance of putting God first. Not as a person who necessarily does that, but as something to look forward to. And the big reason for that is we really don't understand enough how unique two people are to one another. We come with our culture, we come with the way we were raised, we come with so many different traits, and then we're now in marriage. And one person is going to say, because of how I always saw things or how I thought things were supposed to be, this is how I look at life. And the other person's on the other side thinking the same thing. I think God is supposed to be that person in the middle that when you look towards Him, things get easier. And it's not even fairy stuff. If you are really a spiritual person and you are looking to God, I really believe that your marriage will be easier, because the more you look to God, the less you will look at your partner to fill in for things that maybe you should be filling in yourself. You should be doing these things yourself, but instead
Yeah,
you're
well,
Mm.
the
looking
other
to your
big
partner
thing.
like, why aren't you doing this?
Mm.
It's so important, because a marriage, a partnership can never survive when two people are so individual. I think in this world right now, we are pumping out that idea of the individual. There's nothing wrong. I love being an individual, but two individuals coming together for marriage is a recipe for disaster. Nobody, I don't like giving black and white answers, but nobody can tell me anything when it comes to that. That's the first part out of the way. The second part, what does successful marriage look like? I think two empathetic people, because based on what I just said again, we are strangers. If you don't understand that your partner does not see things the same way as you, if you don't understand their fears, if you don't understand when they're sad, if you don't understand what makes them happy, if you don't understand why arguments have to be solved in a very tactful and loving way, yeah, what are you guys doing together, really? You've got your theory about how life should happen, but you're not married to yourself. You're married to this person on the other side that you're looking at. One philosopher said, hell is the other. The worst person is always the other person on the other side, because they represent stuff that's so alien to what you understand. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I think that's what it is. Two empathetic people. And even with the kids, if they're two empathetic people, they will raise the best kids the world has ever known. So thank you.
I like.
But why are you getting into the soapbox though? We like the soapbox. Stay, man. Stay. Stay on the soapbox,
Nah. There are more people. We need to hear you on my London.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Dora, what's up?
What does a successful marriage look like to me?
Yeah.
It looks like a peaceful partnership that's fulfilling, that's really, really fulfilling for both parties. That's what it looks like. I think it's not even a fear, but one of the things that I don't love about some marriages, and not all marriages, is that I feel like there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of societal pressure, a lot of cultural pressure for people to get married. And the thing about it is that when you look around, I don't feel that there are all these examples that are kind of like encouraging you positively to do so. So for me, a successful marriage looks like happiness. Like I know that we can't always, a relationship is a constant state of flux. But as long as you've defined what happiness is for you, like for me as an individual, for the most part, every day I wake up, I'm happy. We all have challenges, we have issues. I might go through low
Hallelujah.
moments, but for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, I'm cool, my G. I'm happy, bro. So as long as no one's pressing me too tough, I'm always good. So I need somebody who has that similar sort of energy, someone who has a similar sort of vibe. So a successful marriage to me looks like alignment, common goals, shared vision. You don't have to be exactly the same, but you do have to a certain extent, enjoy similar things just for a sense of peace. I want someone who wants the same kind of family that I want, because child rearing is another thing. Are you a conscious parent? Have you thought about your parenting style? Are we in agreement? Do we have a clear defined idea of how we want our kids to look like, what we want them to do? To me, a successful marriage looks like two individuals who have done the work and have come together.
Boom.
Completely done all the work. We're all carrying baggage. We're all healing. We're all on a journey.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, at least have started the journey, have identified that you have things you need to work on and be working on them. So when you come together with another human being, you're not in this kind of space of, I'm perfect, I've got nothing to work on, I'm cool. Because that's really damaging. You're the kind of person that ends up, if you're the kind of person that is quite retrospective and you look at yourself and you're like, okay, how can I make this person better? How can I make this relationship better? How can I give more? But you're with somebody who's completely oblivious to that, who doesn't know how to look at themselves. Then how will that be a successful marriage? Because you're not equal. So it's a successful marriage is give and take, not necessarily in equal parts. Sometimes you might have to give 90 while the other person is only given 10. But I think that's also part of a successful marriage, knowing that it's not about the tits or tats. It's not always going to be equal. But having picked that person that you can say that this person, that is my person. They're going to ride for me. So I don't really have to think about the smaller parts, because when we get to the end of the journey, it would have evened itself out. We're out for each other, whatever it takes, And of course, you have to put God first. And I really like that we say that. But I also think that there's a bit of laziness as well when we say that sometimes as Africans, because we like to do this we pray to God and God. But okay, God is an idea of what we're meant to be. What about you? Are you doing the work? What does it mean to put God first? Are you a being that puts God first in your actions and your behavior? Because if you're not, now I can speak for my brother and say that, yes, Mr. Diddy, I'm sure you are as well. I wasn't throwing that on you. I'm just saying, at least for Crystal, I can say that, okay, if you're saying put God first, you are the kind of man that puts God first in your actions in general. Nobody will have to question, do you believe in God? Are you a God-fearing person, Christopher? Nobody's ever going to have to ask you that. So if you're the kind of person who puts God first in everything, automatically when you come together in union, you will put God first. So I just think that we have to be really careful, not just go, yes, you put God first. What does it mean? You put God first, but you are useless layabout and you don't know how to act. No, be responsible for your.
But technically, is that putting God first, or is that just saying that you're putting God first?
No, but
because obviously we know that a lot of people say things, but they don't live it.
Yeah, but a lot of us don't really know. That's another thing. A lot of us don't necessarily really know how to put God first. That's what I'm saying. It's a cultural thing. Say it a lot of times. We actually, and when we say put God first, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
What I'm saying, what does it mean? So we always hear, your marriage is about God. My marriage is about God. That's so as an individual, you know about God, but now is that marriage about God? You don't do the work yourself. Do the work with whatever religion, even if you're an atheist. It's about doing the work. I just feel like it's an excuse. So do the work. And like you said, Christopher, for the most part, we tend to attract what and who we are. So hopefully, do the work to attract someone who isn't. But if you've done the work, you'll be able to identify that they haven't, even if they're trying to pretend that they have.
Boom. I think that is.
Remember when Christopher mentioned empathy? That's why I mentioned the 10 Commandments, because like they say, love your neighbor as yourself. You understand? So you cannot be bad or treat somebody bad, and then that's not how you would treat yourself.
Yes.
If you treat yourself with love, you treat yourself with respect, you treat people around you, or especially your wife, you treat her with respect. So I just feel like the 10 Commandments, it comes in play in a little for me, because it's kind of like guidelines. Do not covet your neighbor's wife. So if you're married, do not go and covet some other woman you see walking in the street and try and get her to be in bed with you and stuff like that. Do you understand? So I'm just saying, like, for me, the 10 Commandments, for me, it just plays a little, not plays a little, but it plays a part, because it's a guideline. It also helps you like stay in check. So I don't expect to be treating my wife like like I treat her real bad, and then I treat myself. I praise myself. I praise my kids, and I don't praise my wife. I don't take care of my wife, or I praise my wife and I don't take care of my kids. I don't praise my kids. So it's basically you have to reciprocate. Like you have to make sure there is a balance.
I know we're running over and we have to go, but you know what, Didi? I agree with you completely, like completely. I mean, for me, I just feel like when it comes to the 10 commandments, I feel like they can be simplified essentially to 2 commandments, which is love thy neighbor like yourselves and thou shalt not steal. Actually, I feel like it can be simplified. Now, I feel my idea is that if you need religion, or you even, because God and religion are not mutually exclusive, but if you even feel like you need to call the name of God or you need religion to know that you should treat people how you want to be treated, I think that's an individual problem. So that's why I'm saying that I don't think it's mutually exclusive to religion. I think, yes, the 10 commandments, those 2 commandments, very important. But I feel as human beings, even if you are not religious, as long as you're not saying that, okay, my source of, energy is dark and I want to, worship the darkness, as you as an individual on this earth, I think the very minimum that we can expect from each other is let's treat each other how we expect to be treated, unless we shouldn't even be sharing energy. That's what I mean. So I feel like I just think that that's an excuse. Like you don't need to say, oh, I'm a Christian or I know God, to at least know that this is how I should treat human beings and this is the right way to act. That's what I was trying to say, that I don't think it's just about religion.
Wow.
And can I just rush in just before it ends?
Oh yeah. What's up? Okay.
What Mercy is saying what Mercy is saying makes sense. Our ego as human beings is so big, we don't understand how much when we say treat people the right way. Of course, Christianity, religion, spirituality, morality gets abused. But I would rather meet 50-50 with somebody who can show me text and say, this is my code, this is my moral code, this is how I live, than a kind of, because saying put God first could be like lazy. But saying also, I'm going to treat you nice, treat me nice, that's also lazy as well, because if you get into a lot of relationships, you realize people's idea of what nice is may not be yours. They still justify the feeling like, because that's how I feel, I'm doing the work, so it doesn't have to be necessarily Christianity. I just think you need to come to an understanding, and I don't think we all fall short of the glory of God, but we still shouldn't be afraid to aspire to it. We should not, and that's on both sides.
That's why it's
you
not
don't
treating
wait for somebody first. You put it there.
Yeah. So I agree with you. That's why it's not treat people nice. It's treat people how you want to be treated. That's what I feel. I feel like you really have a with your moral compass. If you need religion or the idea of a deity for you to know that I should treat that the way I want to be treated. That's what I mean. I just feel like some people use religion as a crutch. So if you didn't have a pastor or you didn't have a Bible, you don't know that you should treat 100%. People the way you want to be treated. That's just what I meant. But yes.
Great conversation.
I know.
Sorry, Lola.
I'll come down now. I'm cool with it. And the thing is, I knew we couldn't put because I haven't been through like half of the questions I had, but it's like it's an hour already. We all have short attention spans, but it's like something we can visit later on. But we kind of concluded really that marriage is what you make it. You don't go in there broken. Marriage is 100. You need to be whole before you join with another whole person to make a marriage. So I guess anybody have any last words or nuggets you want to give the people who are listening who might come back on the replay?
Well, Lola, just remember we saw that whole train wreck with Married at First Sight between Chris and Paige. So I am not saying you always have to put religion first, or like, I mean, sometimes you put religion first and then it gets a little toxic, because your beliefs is that sometimes, I don't know what you guys watch Married at First Sight, like her belief in God so much, like she always wants God to show her a sign, and then the guy is doing her wrong, and she's still waiting on God.
A toxic relationship because she was talking
they're
about
into a real toxic relationship. So basically, you just use your common sense as well. Common sense comes into play a lot. So like I said, you've been around long enough. You've dated long enough. So that's why I say sometimes you need to do some self-reflection and use your common sense. So you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, you know what you want to pursue. And religion is not always the thing, but you can still implement religion into helping you make some decisions.
Into your clarity. Any last words, Okwe?
Yes. Okay, let Mercy go first.
All right, Dubé, what's up? Is this a tussling match?
No,
Yo.
No,
he was about to.
I was trying to be a gentleman.
Okay, no, I'll talk. No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, wait, is he like, okay, no.
No, he's trying to be.
Fine.
What up?
What would I say, really? I mean, all I would really say is that you have to really know yourself. I think that before you try, I don't know, for me, this is my own advice. Before I even try getting with someone, I've spent a lot of time learning who I am and what I want and what my non-negotiables are and what I'm really looking for in a relationship and what I don't want in a relationship. And I think too many people don't know what they want, and they're kind of, it's easy to be blown around. So you really, 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 really know what you want. Really need to know what you want, and don't be scared. Please don't get, especially for the women out there. Please don't be scared. Don't be scared of being alone. Don't be scared that you won't find someone, because honestly, I feel like settling is the worst thing that you can ever do in this world. And most importantly, I also remind people that if we're talking about marriage, a lot of people like to toss about the fact that marriage is about procreation. But you have to remember that the very act of procreation is very, 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 very selfish. So if you decide that you're going to bring children into this world, please think about it. Give it a lot of thought. Think about the person that you're choosing to bring children within this world, because it makes it feel like something you do with such ease. But these are lives. They're going to turn into human beings, and they're going to affect other people's and impact other people's lives. So I think that these are thoughts that we need to be really serious about them. And also, the reason I talk about religion is because as a Nigerian woman, I see that religion is a tool that people can use to deceive others. Human beings, we have charlatans who throw Bible verses or a few phrases, and it's just so easy, and people just fall. We have this thing, especially as melanated people. We can be so easily fooled as soon as someone throws religion into the mix. So just be careful. Don't allow a con man to fool you because he's throwing around spirituality. Use your own discernment and stop giving all your autonomy to your spiritual leaders.
Hallelujah.
You're the one in that marriage. That's all I'll say.
Boom. Pastor,
Lord
what's
have
up?
mercy.
Pastor, yeah, what did the final words have for us, Pastor?
So all I would like to say is, obviously, love is the most important thing in the world. We know how to take care of our kids. We know how to make money, as difficult as it might be. I don't think the world as a whole really understands the power of love, and people don't understand how to love. And unfortunately, those who know how to love the least are those who want to be loved the most. Trust in the power of what love is and work on yourself, if not for any other reason. It's for that reason of love, because you will definitely get what you put into it. And that's what I have to say.
Boom. Yo, my panelists have said it. I don't want to say anything else, but I just want to thank everyone for joining us on this discussion. We'll try and do this once a week. Yo, Ajishafa Dangerous, you represented Didi. I'm trying to tag on that Ajishafa to your last name.
My invoice is in the mail. My invoice is in the mail.
Pastor, we'll send your we'll send the tithes to you.
You three guys there in it for my time, innit?
Well,
I think I need to get myself a Cash App actually, so they can send my.
Cash App.
We don't have a Cash App in the UK, but whatever the equivalent. Apparently,
I ain't getting involved in that family affair.
We'll do the Cash App stuff later. So everyone, I'm going to do what Didi does. It'll be like everyone, you salute them in 3. So in 3, 2, 1, let's just say good night to everyone. All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.